Hello, everyone. My name is Sydney Sills, and this is my Memoir, Memory, and Mastery presentation on reading Lolita in Tehran. Reading Lolita in Tehran is a memoir written by Azar Nafisi, an Iranian writer and professor. This memoir is a recount of her days as a literature professor in Iran during the 1990s. Throughout the book, she tells the readers about societal constraints, oppression, female empowerment, and Western influence. Nafisi focuses on four pieces of literature, and it is broken down into four parts. Part 1 explores the book Lolita, written by Vladimir Nabokov, and recalls the gatherings with her female students during the Islamic Revolution. Part 2 explores The Great Gatsby, written by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This section focuses on the lives of her students and their life struggles of living in Tehran. Part 3 explores the work of Henry James and focuses on Nafisi's personal endeavors of living in Tehran in the United States. The fourth and final part centers around the work of Jane Austen and the parallels between the characters in Austen's novels and the lives of Iranian women. Connection to course objectives. Reading Lolita in Tehran analyzes how culture affects learning and achievement. Throughout the memoir, we are told how Iranian politics and culture shapes the lives and education of both Nafisi and her students. The restrictiveness of education, primarily towards women, is highlighted throughout the book. We are told of the gender norms in Iranian society which limits their opportunities. Nafisi offers her home as a sanctuary for her students to explore literature and discuss banned books, which goes against censorship laws in Iran. This book clearly connects to the course objectives as Nafisi describes how the laws and societal norms of Iran impose on the learning of Iranian students, especially those who are women. Throughout the book, Nafisi continuously allows access to literature, texts, and discussions. Due to the Iranian political climate, we see how access to education is hindered. The book club she offered to the women in her classes helped them explore their curiosities that go against the censorship laws. In one particular part, there is a trial on the ban of The Great Gatsby, and there is a clear power dynamic that is in favor to the male views on the text. In his arguments against the book, Mr. Nyazi refers to Gatsby as this Mr. Gatsby, whereas he refers to the character Daisy as that woman. This is a clear indication on the disparities between men and women in Iran and how males view the females. Nafisi demonstrates using culturally relevant materials in her teachings as she provides her students security when reading diverse Western literature. The four books that were discussed throughout the memoir each offer a sense of resistance to the cultural norms of Iranian society. Along with this, she continuously asks her students critical thinking questions that go against what they are taught in their culture. One example is how she asked one of her students their thoughts on The Great Gatsby. The student replied, "I don't know." And Nafisi challenged her by asking if she truly did not know what to think of the book or if she was unsure if she wanted to express her thoughts in fear of what could happen if anyone found out. Nafisi offers a safe and caring learning environment by offering her house and hosting their secretive book club. She makes her students tea and they have meals while they discuss the books that they are reading. In my opinion, I believe that Nafisi is extremely brave. She constantly challenges the norms of Iranian society, knowing the consequences of what could happen to her and her students. I would hope that I would be as brave as her, but if put in the similar situation, I am unsure. There is a matter of life and death discussed. In one of the sections, we were told of how 6 girls were arrested during one of Nafisi's gatherings, and they were forced virginity tests multiple times and whipped. The arrest was because the women were not wearing their veils in a proper manner in front of the males attending the gathering. I honestly don't know what I would do if my students faced a similar fate. If I were in the same position, I would strictly keep the members of the gatherings to female. There is already an imbalance of female education in Iran, and this should be offered as a safe space for these women. To keep things fair and mixed gendered, I would have had a discussion in a more public area and have my students pre-read the chapters so that they did not have to take the books out in public. This way, my students would not be accused of being immoral by not dressing properly in front of each other. Since the books are banned in the eyes of the Iranian government, this is a setting where I would not bring any tests or papers. This would be only a conversation. I admire how Nafisi and her students face adversity in order to expand their education. The quote, "Education is not a job for the weak willed," describes Nafisi's dedication to her students. Not only does she face the societal differences between men and women in Tehran, she also challenges the senseless bureaucracies, unfeeling systems, and societal inequities by dedicating herself to her students' education and intellectual exploration. In the United States, there are still glass ceilings when it comes to unequal pay and disparities in education between men and women. If this type of authority was instilled into our government, this could be extremely damaging for entire generations. The United States is overflowing in rich and diverse cultures, identities, sexuality, and we have the freedom to express ourselves both verbally and physically. In this book, there is a quote said by the Iranian government, which is "Death to America." This is a very serious and terrifying goal for a nation to have against another. As educators, we need to follow Nafisi's footsteps by advocating for what is right, being a safe haven for our students, and challenging the societal norms so that we can fight for education to be inclusive for all people. In conclusion, reading Lolita in Tehran is an eye opening memoir that gives insight to the lack of access to education of the people, especially women, of Tehran. Some parts are uncomfortable to read as they talk about the treatment of their people, ambushes, and the consequences they face when arrested. Despite these factors, it is imperative that we are educated on the matter. Education exists everywhere. There may be students who immigrate from Iran who are afraid to adapt to Western culture because of how strict the government is in their home country. As educators, we need to learn about these issues and ensure our students that they have the right to learn and explore. Nafisi gives an extensive amount of insight on the oppression of Iranian women. However, she is a prime example of an educator who advocates for her students and ensures that they are given every opportunity to receive the education they deserve.